Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome along to Silverstone for qualifying for the 2022 British Grand Prix. And in the grandstands, the coats are going up, the umbrellas are going up. Yes, that means it can only mean one thing: it's raining at Silverstone for qualifying, and this has just thrown a spanner into the works. As it looks like, well, we are definitely going to be getting a wet start to qualifying now, indeed, as well. So, yeah, rain falling is not persistent. Well, it's persistent, but it's not exactly heavy at this moment in time. So we will wait and see how heavy, as to how heavy that rain does definitely fall, and when it will fall, what part of the circuit it will fall, and will ultimately, will it affect the lap time? That is what the well, it will affect the lap time if it's raining. It will affect the lap time, but will it affect how far you can push on a lap? Because obviously it's raining, then that means the circuit gets slippier. Will they go out on slicks? Will it be wet enough for intermediates? We don't know that. Will it even rain enough that we have to red flag the session at some point as well? So it's got a brilliant qualifying session in store ahead of us, and it gets underway in about 9 minutes time. Yeah, are you doing a watch along? Yes, doing a mini watch along for Silverstone, because it deserves it, doesn't it? It's Silverstone. It needs no invitation. The British Grand Prix is like least standout event of the year, possibly even one of the biggest, maybe even the biggest Formula One event of the year. But yeah, let me know your opinions. Is it Verstappen pole? Is Mercedes back? Is Perez going to be there? Is Ferrari going to be there? They were pulverizing into Cops this morning during third practice. That's never really what you want. Cops are taking it around 180 miles an hour these days, so a very, very fast corner, even in these modern day Formula One cars. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting qualifying. I'm really excited for it. I've not been this excited for a qualifying session probably since Monaco, because Monaco always has a trick in store, doesn't it, for when it comes to qualifying. Actually, the race at Monaco this year was pretty decent as well. So yeah, we've had good racing all year. We've had fair racing as well. I don't really recall a moment when it's been a bit argy-bargy at points. So yeah, it is definitely well worth giving up your Saturday afternoon for qualifying at Silverstone. So then the championship leader, Max Verstappen, topped FP3 with teammate Sergio Perez following him closely behind. Well, and then we had the Ferrari and the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, then followed by the two Mercedes, who were half a second behind. So absolutely nowhere near as far behind as what they have been already. And in other news, the British Grand Prix pledges to go net zero, by 2030. So carbon zero by 2030, which surely means F1 has signed that contract extension beyond 2025. So you can't take Silverstone off the track. And it'd be a great shame if they took Spa off the calendar as well, because Silverstone, Spa, Monza, Monaco, all tracks that stand out. When you look at the calendar, you look at the first race, the last race, the British Grand Prix, and the Monaco Grand Prix, Spa, and Monza. They're the 5 or 6 events that you really think, okay, that's the race I definitely want to make sure I watch this season. But it's been tight all weekend, to be fair, other than maybe out in front with FP3. But in the midfield's been tight all year. In that, the Mercedes, McLaren, then obviously the Haas, they're looking very, very strong with Mick Schumacher, just not quite being able to score his first points yet this season. Come very, very close, and he probably should have done it in Miami, but he had that collision with Sebastian Vettel. towards the end of the race. So it did really hamper his season. Obviously, Kevin Magnussen came in last minute for Nikita Mazepin and seems to be doing a fantastic job in that Haas seat and making sure that they're consistent in qualifying, but they lose a bit in the race pace so they can qualify. Sometimes 5th, 6th, they can get a really good qualifying result. And then all of a sudden, when it gets to race day, they lose a lot of that pace in there. We don't know whether they set their package up like that or whether that is just the way the Haas car works, and it's their drivers about needing to learn what is going on. We're just seeing the overhead shot of the circuit at the moment. So yeah, 5.891 kilometers, the fourth longest circuit of the year, 3.66 miles. And the lap record is 124.3. That was Lewis Hamilton in 2020. 18 turns, an elevation of 11.3 meters on the old RAF field. And we will be using the wet tyres to start with. But if we do get to the 6, then it's the C3, the C2, and the C1, the hardest compounds in the Pirelli range with us this weekend because, we've had tyre dramas, and I'm pretty sure it will be a wet tyre start to this qualifying this afternoon. Yeah, just confirming the current conditions are rainy weather at the moment. That's typical Britain, isn't it? Typical England. And it proves to be has all the prospects, as I said earlier, to be a very, very good qualifying. Yeah, it's raining quite heavy now, actually. So we will see. We await the decision now whether the FIA decide to start this session on time, because they may well now take the decision to delay the start of qualifying. And we will hopefully get that confirmation soon as to whether we will start qualifying at 3 o'clock as scheduled. It's raining quite heavily now, and the track, it's wet. It looks okay for now, but the question is, will we stop the session at some time? Will we start it on time? So it does, we await. And I hope we are starting it on time because the cars are heading out of the pit lane, and it'd be interesting to see what tyres they actually choose to go out on, whether it will be the intermediate sort of wets, but I assume the preferred tyre will be the intermediate. And Anthony Hamilton standing in the back of the Mercedes garage. These are prime Lewis Hamilton conditions, aren't they? Very, very close were the two Mercedes drivers throughout practice. They looked a lot better, and no porpoising as well. But then this is a newly resurfaced track, only resurfaced 3 years ago, was the Silverstone circuit. 2020 for that behind closed doors British Grand Prix and the Formula One 70th anniversary Grand Prix as well. So Sergio Perez sits second in the Drivers' Championship, 129 points, and confirming most cars are going out on the intermediate. So you'll see how they will get on as the rain does continue to fall. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be, they're going to want to get out there as quickly as they can, because as soon as, the best lap you're going to get in this session is the first lap. If it continues to rain, the track gets worse and the lap times just slow down. So, expect a red flag at some point in this session. If the rain definitely continues to fall, then we will undoubtedly have to stop the session at some time. Nigel Mansell, Formula One world champion in 1992, here this weekend with Ferrari, and the 1992 British Grand Prix winner, as we have 10 seconds now to the green flag. So we're about to get Q1 for the 2022 British Grand Prix qualifying underway in 3, 2, 1, and we have the green light at the end of the pit lane, and they trundle out, all of them. Well, most of the drivers will now make their way onto the circuit, a wet Silverstone circuit, because they want to, as I said earlier, get that lap in as quickly as they can before the track So the track is only going to get worse with the rain continuing to fall. And this is a proper British Grand Prix Saturday, isn't it, at Silverstone, as they head now onto their warm-up laps. And we are going to get lots of spray then. So it is very wet. The two Mercedes now making their way out the pit lane. And, is the intermediate going to be the quicker tyre here? And what exactly is the crossover to the full wet? So as Lewis Hamilton trundles out the pit lane, Verstappen and both Perez and Verstappen and Alonso and Ocon all remain in the pit lane. Everyone has come out so far on the intermediate tyre. And I think at this moment in time, that's probably the correct decision. And Hamilton on the outlap, getting out of shape, coming out of the loop. So that is how wet and slippery Silverstone is right now. Meanwhile, 50 miles away, I can look out my window and there's not a cloud in the sky. So definitely typical British weather, isn't it? Yeah. I hope it doesn't move across for later. But yeah, it is. It's actually going through Woodcote. It's looking quite slippery. The rain is coming in at Copse. So it's coming in Copse Corner first. So Copse is definitely the wettest part of the track as they're backing each other up now, going through the Val chicane. You'd think they'd want to be getting as much temperature into those intermediate tyres as they possibly can, but no. Charles Leclerc crawling through Club Corner, and when he lights his rear tyres up, going through Club, now onto the Hamilton straight, and he appears out of the spray, out of the gloom at Silverstone. And we will see what Leclerc's first sector time is going to be. Verstappen and Perez have now both come out onto the track. So they are gambling here that the track is not going to get worse. And it does look like the rain's actually falling heavier than it was. The track conditions are deteriorating a bit here. So have Red Bull got that slightly wrong by not coming out to the garage straight away like most other drivers did? Ricardo Radio, what's he going to say? Yeah, I think he's just reporting that the conditions quite slippery. So Leclerc done a personal best, obviously a personal best, through the first corner. And as he comes towards Maggots now, he keeps it within the tracks, and it is treacherous conditions at Beckett's as well through the Chapel complex. Let's see what his second sector time is. 1:18.1 so far. And can't actually see Charles Leclerc in the spray. Now we can. So that was the best sector of the session as well. But he doesn't really have many drivers in front of him other than Latifi, Albon. Albon goes top of the times then. Leclerc towards the Val chicane. Schumacher goes second fastest. But surely Leclerc's going to go to the top of the times here at Silverstone this afternoon in qualifying. And he does. By nearly 2.4 seconds. As we ride on board with Carlos Sainz. Kevin Magnussen goes full fastest. Sainz on a personal best. Hamilton on a personal best. And there's a yellow flag on the track hazard. And that can only mean one thing, as someone had an accident somewhere or spun into the gravel. Nope, it's a green flag. So must have just been someone going for a spin at some point. I couldn't quite see who that was actually. Hamilton's gone personal best then through the middle sector. And this is a good lap actually from Lewis Hamilton considering the conditions this afternoon. That's been beaten. I assume that is by Max Verstappen. As Hamilton comes around the final corner, goes second fastest as well. So 3 tenths off the pace. And Russell now towards the line. He's third fastest behind his teammate. Lando Norris will be next across the line. He's coming through club corner now. And Lando Norris crosses the line, goes 7th fastest. That's a poor lap from Lando Norris. But Verstappen sets a very, very good lap of a 1:45.7. That's the best lap we have seen of this afternoon. Goes top of the times. Perez only 5th fastest for Sergio Perez, who's been struggling all afternoon. Meanwhile, Alex Albon goes 2nd fastest. And see what I mean by saying it's a mixed up grid. Schumacher goes 3rd fastest, and maybe track conditions are actually improving. Leclerc goes back top of the times again, and the two Mercedes are going to have to run again. The Carlos Sainz is going to have to run again. Ricciardo's and both Norris are going to have to run again. But Valtteri Bottas is the next car across the line. Kevin Magnussen went full fastest just a couple of seconds ago, with Zhou going 6th. Bottas creeping his way through club corner now onto the Hamilton straight. Valtteri Bottas goes 7th fastest, and that's a good lap from Valtteri Bottas. 4 seconds clear of what Pirelli estimate the cut-off time will be for Q1. Meanwhile, Lance Stroll goes 9th fastest. A good lap there from Stroll. Gasly also coming through club corner now. Gasly goes 3rd fastest. Good lap there from Pierre Gasly. It's going to be followed by Yuki Tsunoda, and Tsunoda goes 7th fastest as well. So track conditions as Ricciardo goes full fastest, definitely ramping up. Hamilton next across the line. Hamilton goes 2nd fastest and is a second off the pace. Russell now across the line. Russell 3rd fastest and 1.9 seconds off the pace, but I assume Verstappen's gone for a double flyer here as well. Norris across the line now full fastest for Lando Norris. Verstappen goes fastest again by 0.2 of a second over Charles Leclerc. Sergio Perez towards the line now. This is a good lap from Perez and goes 3rd fastest as well. So pushes Hamilton down to 4th. So is that the first one's done? No, Schumacher goes 7th fastest. Leclerc goes quicker again. So they are all going for another lap here then, clearly. So Leclerc fastest by 0.5 a second. As Gordon Ramsay watches on from the Red Bull garage. And the two Alpines are just starting the laps as Magnussen goes 7th fastest. And Zhou goes 6th fastest. So good lap there from Guan Yu Zhou in the Alfa Romeo. And we're going to follow Esteban Ocon as Bottas goes full fastest. Ocon through loop and onto Aintree. The Alpine goes as Stroll goes 10th fastest. Onto the Hangar Straight. The Wellington Straight, no DRS active, of course, in this Q1 session. Ocon 1.5 seconds down off the quickest time through sector 1. And through Brooklands he goes now. Ricciardo 10th fastest. And Ocon not really lighting up the timing screens here. As Russell goes 3rd fastest. So Russell gets past his teammate Lewis Hamilton. And Norris goes 3rd fastest. Lando Norris out of nowhere putting that lap. Very good lap there from the McLaren drivers. Ocon makes his way through Beckett's and on to Chapel. Perez 2nd fastest, by the way, as well. Ocon now 0.5 a second up on the time he needs to be out of Q1. Obviously, Ocon sitting in 19th, not set a lap time yet. His teammate, Fernando Alonso, also running well through sector 1 as well. Alonso is about to cut the timing beam for sector 2. Albon goes 8th fastest. Williams said they could be within a shout of Q3, but actually Alonso is doing very well as well. It's a good middle sector there. And Ocon went. Where did Ocon go? Pretty sure he was in. Ocon went top 10. Definitely Ocon went top 10. And Alonso goes 11th fastest. So, Ocon didn't beat his time. Ocon 1.9, 19th. He must have backed out that lap right at the end or lost a lot of time through the Val chicane. Tsunoda to the line now, 11th fastest. Ricciardo, he's 12th fastest. Meanwhile, Verstappen sets the fastest sector 2. We're on board with George Russell. Through club corner goes quickest. But will that time remain? Because Verstappen is on a very good lap again. Vettel across the line now. I think it may have stopped raining, so track conditions very much improving. 15th for Sebastian Vettel. And Verstappen does go top, and it's a 1:44. So very good lap there for Max Verstappen. But Leclerc sets the fastest sector 2, but Verstappen was faster in sector 3. Leclerc about to break the timing, come across the line. We'll see where Leclerc goes when he does cross the line. Schumacher, Leclerc stays second fastest actually. Does Charles Leclerc. So second fastest for the Monegasque. Schumacher 14th fastest, half a second off the time he needs to be at the moment. Magnussen, Latifi, goes 11th fastest. Ocon towards the line, now goes 7th fastest. That's much better from the Alpine. Schumacher next across the line. Schumacher 10th fastest for the Haas driver. And Stroll will be next. He's coming through the Val chicane right now. Is Lance Stroll. Stroll on the exit of Val onto club. Goes the Aston Martin across the line and only 15th fastest. So Stroll currently driver at risk, but Pierre Gasly is on another good lap. He's currently 20th at the moment. Gasly with Vettel 19th. So you can see how quickly it is changing as the track begins to dry. And there is now a dry line forming. Gasly goes 14th fastest, pushes Stroll into the elimination zone. And as Vettel now plumb last through club corner onto the Hamilton straight and across the line. Vettel only 17th fastest for the German driver as Charles Leclerc sets another purple sector 2. And we will see where Leclerc goes as Norris goes 5th fastest on the timing screens. 1.9 seconds off the pace. Hamilton's going to have to run again here. He's only 8th fastest, but he has not run as many laps as everyone else has. Ocon. In fact, Hamilton's out on the track now. So Hamilton out on the track again. And is that fresh set of inters that have gone on that car. You'll see. And Leclerc closed the gap to just under 0.2 of a second off Max Verstappen. 5 minutes to go in the opening part of qualifying. And Ocon towards the line now stays 9th fastest as Esteban Ocon. And it will be Guan Yu Zhou next across the line because Magnussen came into the pits. Zhou across the line now goes 5th fastest. Does the Alfa Romeo, and that is a good job from Guan Yu Zhou. Fastest sector 1 for Max Verstappen. That's not a surprise, is it? As it still looks quite tricky towards the back end of the circuit. But as I said, there is that line that's forming, but I don't think it's raining anymore. But we haven't seen the shot. Oh, yeah, it is raining. It is still raining at Val anyway. Vettel through the Val chicane right now. And Vettel's going to have to set a very good lap here towards the line. 10th fastest. That's better from Vettel as Verstappen is going purple through sector 2 as well. So sector 1, sector 2 purple. This is a very good lap from the Dutchman. But Tsunoda towards the line, currently 18th, goes 9th. That's a good lap from Yuki. And Verstappen does go quickest. And we are now into the 1:39. 1:39.975 for Max Verstappen. 3 fastest sectors. The Dutchman is flying as Perez goes 4th fastest. The top 10 at the moment, Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Perez, Russell, Zhou, Norris, Alonso, Tsunoda, and Hamilton closes out the top 10. Driver at risk at the moment is currently Williams of Alex Albon, who sits in 15th. Daniel Ricciardo currently 19th, going for another lap on the intermediate tyres. And he got a bit of oversteer coming out of loop there. and onto Aintree. There's a car that's getting out of the way. That's a Red Bull, and it's going to get in the way, very much in the way, of the Aston Martin going into Brooklands. I'm not quite sure exactly who that was on that Red Bull. It might well have been Max Verstappen. I think it was actually Max Verstappen. Hopefully didn't hinder Ricciardo too much there. Ricciardo heads through Copse Corner now and onto Maggots and Beckett and Chapel as Hamilton goes second fastest, and he's 4/10 off the pace is Lewis Hamilton as the other Red Bull now gets nicely out of the way for Ricciardo. 2.5 seconds did Ricciardo lose. He's 2.4 down on Verstappen's time, obviously. Hamilton's never going to set a Red Bull time as Norris goes seventh fastest. And once again, they're backing each other up into the Val chicane. Ricciardo through Club. He goes now onto the Hamilton straight across the line. Where does Ricciardo go? Only 13th fastest. That's not a great lap from Daniel Ricciardo. He's going to have to go again. He won't make it around to the checkered flag low. So he's going to have to go for a double flying lap here with no charge lap in the middle. Latifi, 18th fastest. And Latifi quickest through the third quickest through the speed trap. Into the Val chicane goes Nicholas Latifi now. Puts his foot flat to the floor. Through Club Corner. Gets a bit twitchy. Latifi, 10th fastest. Good lap there from the Canadian drivers. Russell sets a purple set to 1. The track is now really, really improving for the drivers out there. Schumacher, yes, across the line. Only 17th fastest for the Haas driver. Disappointing qualifying then for Schumacher. Unless he goes again, will be out. Fastest set to 1 then for Max Verstappen as we ride on board with Pierre Gasly going towards Stowe Corner. Very much. Now, 19th is the AlphaTauri driver. He's got Vettel following 17th fastest. 20 seconds to go then in the opening part of qualifying at Silverstone. Gasly across the line now goes 8th fastest and pushes Alex Albon to driver at risk. But Sebastian Vettel is about to come over the line. Now Sebastian Vettel does get checkered flag and is only 15th fastest. So that is not great for Sebastian Vettel. He's out of qualifying as Yuki Tsunoda goes 12th. Daniel Ricciardo goes 13th. Ocon now in the drop zone by 57 hundredths of a second. Leclerc goes quickest by 1/10 of a second. Ocon to carry on his qualifying run in Silverstone this afternoon. Verstappen goes quickest by 7/10 of a second. Ocon through the Val chicane onto Club Corner. Is Esteban Ocon out of qualifying? No, he's not, because he goes 9th fastest, and that is a good lap. And Latifi only 15th. Will Latifi be able to make it through? Schumacher 19th. Now coming through Val chicane onto Club Corner. Is Schumacher going to progress through? No, he's not, unfortunately. 18th fastest for the Haas driver. Both Haas's are out as Magnussen only 16th. And Alex Albon does get is only 16th, which means Nicholas Latifi has made it. Crash Latifi has made it through to Q2 as Bottas goes 7th fastest. Joe goes 6th, and what a hectic opening part of qualifying that was. Russell goes 3rd. Hamilton is 5th, but he's not on the lap. 1.3 seconds off the pace. The hoods are still up, so it must still be raining. Silverstone, and we all need a rest after that one, don't we? So let's run you through the order. Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Sainz, Hamilton, Perez, Joe, Bottas, Norris, Alonso, Gasly, Ocon, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, and Latifi all progress through. And out is Albon, Magnussen, Vettel, Schumacher, and Stroll will be starting last then. So not a great qualifying. Well, a shocking qualifying, really, for both Aston Martin and Haas there. So that is not what Aston Martin or Haas fans would want to hear. So, whilst we wait for Q2 to start, we're going to take a bit of a rest. So probably going to be a few more minutes before we can get Q2 underway. Q1 currently, that's finished now. So as you'll see on your screen, it's a checkered flag for Q1. So we're currently in that changeover period now where the teams get the car set up for Q2. Obviously, it's a free tyre choice. Normally, for Q3, you have to go soft tyre, but because of the weather, the teams, if it remains wet for Q3, will get that option between the inters or the wet. I think unless the rain intensifies quite drastically, most teams will stay on the intermediates for the rest of qualifying. So we're just going to run you through our Sunday schedule. We'll be live 2:35 right here on YouTube for race build-up, whilst the lights go out at 3 o'clock local time. So that's all British summertime, local time to Silverstone circuit. And there is some reports that tomorrow we will get protesters, climate protesters, politic protesters trying to run on the circuit. Let's hope we don't get that, because that would rather spoil the race if we did, wouldn't it? And we don't want anyone getting injured, hurt, or, subsequent. What could have happened in Formula 1? And we can't tell you Vettel's radio. Unfortunately, Albon, let's listen to him. Very annoyed with himself for being out of qualifying in Q1. Alex Albon, as is Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll as well. Very disappointing there from Aston Martin to have both cars out in Q1 and their home Grand Prix as well. As we look at the Silverstone wing, Russell ready? And Russell basically telling his team what needs to happen and what he wants to change and what the conditions are like. A bit of a summary of Q1 from George Russell's perspective there. As we get ready for Q2, and as I said in the break, that dry line that they created, because it's continued to rain, would have been made wet now. So the track where it would have been drier in patches where the cars have been running is now wet in total. So Latifi through to Q2 for the first time this season. As we look in the Red Bull garage right now of Max Verstappen. And we are about to get the green light for Q2. We do now get the green light for Q2, and they head back out onto the Silverstone circuit. is again crawling out. And it's a typical British Saturday afternoon. See, that dry line has kind of a drier line. It hasn't disappeared totally like I thought it would have, especially through loop anyway. And Aintree, we'll have a look at what the rest of the circuit is like when we get a chance to view it. As once again, the teams want to come out as early as they can and get a banker lap in just in case the rain intensifies. It's a very light drizzle at the moment. As there's Hamilton, home hero, gets ready to roll out of his garage, and they're just holding him there at the moment. They clearly feel like they need to wait for Mercedes. Hello. And as the camera at the end of the pit lane needs a bit of wiping. It's got a lot of rain spots underneath it. Hakkinen is making a comeback. Definitely not. That's definitely not happening. Mika Hakkinen is definitely not making a Formula One comeback. Maybe if there was a Formula One's race of champions, we could have Mika Hakkinen, and that would actually be, that's not actually a bad idea. Formula One race of champions. So Hamilton radio. So I think he's saying conditions have got worse. So maybe the rain over that little break has got a little bit worse, as Lando Norris is going to be the first one to set a lap here, or at least start a lap. Through Abbey goes and onto Farm. Not too slippery in this part of the circuit. It is Copse, Beckett's and the Hangar Straight that's experiencing the worst of the conditions right now. For Ricciardo next season, well, we can't. Ricciardo's obviously having a terrible year, isn't he? But yeah, I hope for Ricciardo it goes right. He maybe has a Monza again. It's definitely what he needs. And yeah, now the weather's definitely picked up a little bit as Lando Norris heads onto the old start-finish straight and through Copse Corner. Remember, Norris was very good in the wet conditions at qualifying for Spa last year until he had that high-speed accident at Radion. Through Maggots as we ride on with helmet cam now on Lando Norris, Beckett's and Chapel. And this is, tantalizingly slow for these modern day Formula One cars. And Russell radio, no grip, says George Russell. So that's interesting. Obviously, very, very slippery out there. Then clearly, if George Russell is reporting no grip, and Lando Norris goes sixth fastest. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso goes top of the times. So timing at the moment is Alonso, Zhou, Tsunoda, Bottas, Latifi, Gasly, Norris, and for the rest of them set no time. But Perez now goes fastest with a 1:42.5. So we haven't. That time has got worse since Q1. We see if we get back into that 1:39 window. Verstappen once again on a purple lap. But Leclerc towards the line now goes Charles Leclerc, only third fastest. So Leclerc has fallen behind Fernando Alonso. Verstappen now towards the line. He's quickest by 1 second, so 1:41.4 for Max Verstappen. Hamilton towards the line, third fastest, 1.196 seconds off the pace. Russell next across the line. He goes full fastest, 1.6 seconds off the pace, half a second off his teammate Lewis Hamilton right now. But Ocon is on a decent first sector here. Is Esteban Ocon. Guan Yu Zhou goes third fastest. Great lap there from Guan Yu Zhou. And Esteban Ocon setting a very good lap as well. So clearly the track is ramping up a little bit. As you can see in my room here, there is bright blue sky outside my house. And I only live about probably 30 miles away from Silverstone Circuit. Ocon now towards the line. Meanwhile, Norris goes purple. Sector 2. Ocon to the line. Now Ocon goes only 13th fastest. Meanwhile, Norris goes second fastest. What a great lap there from the McLaren driver in Q2. Ricciardo will be next in the papaya orange to cross the line. Ricciardo only 12th fastest. Dismal for Ricciardo, just like the British weather at Silverstone this afternoon. But the clerk through club, he's gone on another lap and goes quickest, 1:41.2. It is going to be the repeat of qualifying, isn't it? Whoever sets the last lap might actually get the quickest lap. Verstappen retakes top spot by half a second. Hamilton towards the line now goes second fastest, and that will get a Silverstone cheer. Russell towards the line, only fourth for George Russell. I say only fourth, that's a decent lap from the Mercedes. Latifi will be next across the line now. He's coming through the bow. And onto club corner goes Nicholas Latifi, probably one of the driest corners on the track at the moment. Latifi, 9th fastest and into the top 10. Sainz on a decent first sector as well. He's coming through Copse now and onto Maggots and Beckett's. This is the wet part of the circuit. See a lot of spray being kicked up by the Ferrari there. And decent second sector. But it isn't a standout from Carlos Sainz. It should put him, I would say, somewhere top 5 as Alonso goes 6th fastest. Good lap from Fernando Alonso, and it's raining quite heavily now at the Val chicane. So maybe that is why the lap times are not necessarily improving as quickly as they were in Q1. But Sainz towards the line, full fastest. I did my top 4 estimate was quite accurate there, wasn't it? Sainz full fastest and 9/10 off the pace. And the rain is coming down rather heavily now, and especially at certain parts of the circuit, it's coming down heavier than others. Loop village, it seems very treacherous. Maggots and Beckett's. Surprised we haven't had anyone go off yet and end it in the gravel water barriers. But Bottas is not on a great lap here. Is he doing a recharge lap? Maybe he's going to recharge his battery and go again. But off the racing line is very wet. You do not want to put a wheel off the racing line at this moment in time. So 1:46.65. We might get down to 1:39 in this session. But Hamilton has come into the pits now, sitting second fastest. I mean, it could be the same front row as we had last year. And we all know what happened at Silverstone last year when Hamilton and Verstappen started alongside each other. See, the worst of the rain, the rain's, it's staying with us, I think, for maybe 10, 15 minutes. So, the Clark Radio. Yeah, rainstone like this. I think that was the message from Ferrari to Charles Leclerc. And let's have a look at a replay on board with Max Verstappen. Through Chapel, he went off the circuit, and Verstappen actually went off at Chapel Corner there, very slow speed. And he just got out. That's what I was just saying, put a wheel off the racing line, and it is wet, very, very wet indeed, and it's cool. The world champion now. Through Chapel there. And that Red Bull's made its way back to the pits. I'm not surprised. Oh, will it need... I don't think... No, I may be wrong, but I don't really think they'll be setting much better times now. With the track continuing to get wet. The Latifi's gone off the track now. He's gone off at loop. Now, I wonder now if it is actually getting full wet conditions. So, let's see. In certain parts of the track, it does look maybe it might be a bit too edgy for the Inters, and that is why it's starting to fly off the road a little bit. Latifi is going to continue on his lap. He's currently 10th, so he is the driver at risk because Keen Net Reeves is with us this weekend. He's currently at the old pit straight. Very much enjoying his time at Silverstone with a big smile on his face. As Latifi heads through Maggots. Latifi heads through Maggots. So just got a bit confused there with the graphics. I mean, Ocon. What is that? That's Chapel as well. Can't see a thing, can you, Esteban Ocon? Currently 15th fastest, and he's 1.7 seconds off the cutoff time, so not looking good here for Esteban Ocon. He will get another lap, and he's actually going to run wide at Stowe Corner, so that's how tricky it's getting. Is that Latifi abandoning his lap? Yes, it is Latifi abandoning his lap. I said he went off at Village. And now Ocon puts his foot flat to the floor, and he just aborted that lap. I think he did. So Ocon did abort that lap at the end there. Wasn't going to improve. Again, Bottas radios, have a listen. Can't see is what Bottas said. So, yeah, the spray is now becoming a considerable problem, especially on the Wellington and the Hangar Straight. Probably some of the wettest parts of the track. Now, and Ocon went wide off Aintree and almost had a big smash. There did Esteban Ocon. And that would have been a heart-in-mouth moment for the Alpine team. Valtteri Bottas, we're riding on board now with through Woodcote and onto the old pit straight he goes. And it don't look too bad at Cops actually right now. Does seem to be worse at certain parts of the circuit. Aintree is treacherous right now. Aintree is not a great corner in terms of the conditions. A lot of drivers really struggling to keep it on the road this afternoon. And we've got 35 seconds remaining in Q2. As the AlphaTauri makes his way through Woodcote onto Copse Corner. We're actually now going to pick up Daniel Ricciardo, who's also going through the same part of the racetrack. Ricciardo is 1 second off what he needs to do to get to Q3. So Verstappen, Hamilton, and Leclerc, Sainz, and Russell will not come out again as the checkered flag comes out for Q2. I don't think they're necessarily going to be improving their lap times here. Gasly, 11th. And It's not looking good for the guys that are already in the drop zone. Ocon is out of qualifying. He's made the checkered flag. Latifi only 10th fastest, but might be safe here because conditions are deteriorating. And I think that is it. I don't think anyone else is improving. So Nicholas Latifi is through to Q3. Tsunoda crosses the line. Gasly comes into the pits. And it's only Bottas, but I don't think Bottas is improving very much. But Nicholas Latifi makes it through to Q3 at Silverstone. So great news there for the Williams driver. So let's have a look at Latifi's lap once again. Through Copse Corner, very committed was Nicholas Latifi. But for the Lenovo British Grand Prix, Q3 is coming up. And it's right next. So the rain intensifying, promises to be a very good Q3. You can't script this. You don't know which way it's going to go. It could go Red Bull. It could go Mercedes. It could go Ferrari. It's that close at Silverstone this afternoon. And it's always a little bit of a wait between Q2 and Q3. Expect it to probably be about 5-10 minutes before we get underway again at Silverstone. So thank you very much for joining us for this qualifying session. And I'm just going to read out, if I can find them, some of the tweets you guys have essentially sent in to us. Remember, as always, the hashtag is hashtag BritishGP. The warm-up to his first win is now. And big shout out to the crowd for braving the rain, says F1. Yes, of course, big shout out. McLaren say Q2 done. Lando makes it through. Unfortunately for Daniel Ricciardo, heavy rain towards the end of the session did not allow him to improve. So, as we head back to Silverstone now, so we're gonna keep pushing the Latifi gets into Q2 ahead of his teammate. So yeah, Latifi is out qualified his teammate for the first time this season, I believe, as well. And that's the first time Alex Albon and once again, we're going to have a look at Latifi's final part of his lap through the Val chicane. He looked very good lap there from the Williams driver in tricky conditions, and the rain intensified. I was very surprised. Well, I wasn't very surprised that actually no one improved on their lap time there. So it is for Q3 going to be vital that they get out there as soon as they can. And at what point, if the rain continues to intensify like it is But actually, it looks like it might have calmed down a bit now. The umbrella's still very much up. So expect it to be intermediates for the final part of qualifying. Intermediates, I would say, would be the fastest tyre. And the weather for tomorrow, and there is a quite a high rain risk tomorrow, actually, that we will see some drops of rain. And let me just check that weather forecast is accurate as can be. Yeah, so tomorrow we expect a little bit of rain. Potentially it rains tomorrow at Silverstone as well, so actually looks like it. Maybe more showers in the morning than actually in the afternoon tomorrow, so we might be alright, but you never know what wind's going to throw up, do you? And that's the main question, the main talking point. With no delay so far yet. It's considering the conditions. It's a bit surprising, maybe. The cars are queuing at the end of the pit lane. I did say they'd want to be out as quickly as they can, didn't I? And can confirm it is intermediate tyres that most of them are heading out on. Or at least queuing up on. As once again we see Nigel Mansell very much enjoying these qualifying conditions with the Ferrari team. And Lewis Hamilton gets a cheer as he trundles to the end of the pit lane. They're all waiting. They're all queuing up already. 12 minutes on the clock then. And that will start now. So they head out of pit lane then. And onto a wet Silverstone racetrack for the final part of British Grand Prix qualifying for the 2022 British Grand Prix. And both Red Bulls also make their way out. But they, interestingly, decide to stay in their garage until the rest of the queue has left. Well, at least Sergio Perez had come out. Did I see Max Verstappen out onto the track? I don't think I did. But it does look like that grey cloud is passing. So maybe for the Formula 2 race, it might dry up a little bit for the Formula 2 race, which follows qualifying at 5 o'clock. Still wet through entry, but it looks better conditions now. You know, in fact, this is the best conditions we've had all afternoon, really. Still wet in certain parts of the track, like Brooklands and onto Cox, but through entry, that looked a lot better than what it did at the end of qualifying. It looks... Cops looks worse than it was on the easy entry to Cops. The exit looks okay. And Stowe's wet. And that line, the entry to Stowe's gone. Possible shower right at the end of Q3. So, and Sainz sliding through the Val chicane. And I think that was a warm-up lap as well. Installation lap. So possible shower then coming at the end of Q3. So that's why they want to get all their laps done now. I mean, it's showery weather at the moment, isn't it? Oh, and Verstappen all out of shape on the exit of El Chicane. That's not how he wants to set up his lap as he crosses the line now. And this is when they're absolutely on it. So the official rain risk tomorrow is 14%. So good rain. And still wet on the apex of Aintree, the Clerk. So it's a decent first sector. We'll see if Verstappen can beat that. He can beat that, quite comfortably beat that by 0.3 of a second. Verstappen up on the Clerk already. Through Brooklands goes the reigning world champion onto Woodcote. This is a good lap. Once again, from Max Verstappen towards the old start finish straight through Copse Corner when we had that accident last year. Makes it safely through there. Navigates his car to absolute precision through the fastest part of the racetrack. And Verstappen, someone's gone quicker through sector 1. Verstappen to cut the timing beam. Decent lap. Continues it, but he's not quicker than Charles Leclerc through sector 2. And Leclerc is about to cross the line very shortly through the Val chicane. Goes Charles Leclerc. Sainz goes fastest. Verstappen's lost it. And Verstappen spins on the exit of Stowe. And that is that lap gone for the reigning world champion. Leclerc goes quickest though. But Verstappen went for 360. And that is how quickly it is to lose it at Silverstone in these wet conditions. Third fastest then for Max Verstappen. Zhou goes quickest. Guan Yu Zhou and Lando Norris towards the line now. But Lando Norris second fastest. And Lewis Hamilton tiptoeing towards the line. Hamilton only sixth fastest. He backed off that lap, didn't he? Yeah, he did. Russell only fifth fastest. So a lot of them going for double warm-up. You can't even see a thing, can you? Alonso, good sector 2. Alonso goes quickest by 3.2 seconds. We knew he was good in these conditions in Canada. Can he repeat it 2 weeks later at Silverstone? So Sainz, he's up on the quickest time. He's purple sector 2 in. Leclerc's done a personal best in sector 1. Sainz towards Stowe Corner now, where Verstappen had that spin just a few minutes ago. Track's improving, says Sergio Perez is engineer. How does the engineer political times actually? Sainz towards the line. There's a yellow flag at Abbey Corner, so we'll wait and see. Yellow flag, Abbey Corner. I think that's Abbey. Someone gone for spin into the gravel. That's right at the start of the lap. But Verstappen towards the line now. Verstappen coming the 8th fastest, goes quickest. No, it's track's clear now. So someone must have just gone for a little spin there. I don't know who that was. Actually, Verstappen didn't go quickest. 43 thousandths of a second separate Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen then. So let's have a look at Verstappen through the Val chicane. Oh, yeah, he went off. He went off. Verstappen did go off, so he would have been going quicker. But that's how quick he was going. He went off and was still only 43 thousandths behind. Perez goes third fastest. Hamilton full fastest. Only 7.5 tenths off the pace here. But Verstappen doing another decent first sector. He's on to the old start finish straight now. Towards Copse goes Verstappen. Committed through one of the fastest corners of the racetrack. Towards Maggots and Beckett's he goes. Decent lap so far. 5 minutes to go in Q3. Verstappen 1.6 up on the Clerk's time for 1:44.8. So Verstappen absolutely flying towards Stowe Corner. When we had that spin just 5 minutes ago, he navigates it okay this time though. Towards the Val chicane where he went off last time out. Keeps it nice and neat towards the apex. Verstappen absolutely flying, but Hamilton's going even quicker as well. Verstappen goes quickest by nearly 2 seconds, 1:42.9 for Max Verstappen. Lando Norris towards the line. Meanwhile, George Russell is flying as well. Lando Norris through club corner, over the line now. Lando Norris goes second fastest. Decent lap there. Track very much improving. Hamilton towards the line. Hamilton goes second fastest by 0.3 of a second. Russell, third fastest, 2.5 tenths. Hamilton behind Verstappen. Perez only fifth fastest. Not a great qualifying so far for Checo. So all to play for. Verstappen going quickest. In the first sector again. Well, actually, he's backed out. 3.9 seconds he's lost now. So Verstappen clearly backing out of this lap. And when he pit, will he go for a new set of inters maybe? Who's going to roll the dice? No, he's staying out. The Clerk goes second fastest now. Head of Hamilton. Hamilton down to third, but only by 4 thousandths of a second. So not much separates the Clerk and Hamilton. And Latifi's 41 seconds off the pace. So it's Latifi. Oh, and who's that? That was Carlos Sainz. That looked like that was darting straight off the road at Aintree. But well done, Carlos, to keep that on the racetrack. Through Brooklands he goes. Takes the wide line, the favoured wide line. I mean, now go to Alonso. Through Stowe Corner goes Fernando Alonso. 2 minutes to go in Q3. That rain shower might be arriving, you know, because there does seem to be a few more spots of rain than what there was a few minutes ago. Alonso towards the line now. Third fastest for the Spaniard. Verstappen, who's doing a very good sector one, currently going down the, just gone through Cops Corner towards Maggots and Beckett's. The Clerk just ahead of him. The Clerk 1.2 up, but Verstappen setting a very, very decent lap behind him towards Stowe Corner. Goes Charles Leclerc right now. Meanwhile, Hamilton goes second fastest, but surely Leclerc's going to beat that time. Towards the Val chicane goes Charles Leclerc, closely followed by Max Verstappen behind him. So decent lap so far. Sainz goes quickest. So good lap there from Carlos Sainz, but Leclerc beats that. And Verstappen, this is going to be super tight. Is Max Verstappen going to go on to provisional pole? Yes, he is. Actually, it wasn't that tight. 2.5 tenths. Verstappen gained in the final sector. Mighty through the first sector is that Red Bull. So 40 seconds to go. One last flying lap it will be. And Alonso. Will we get another one? Alonso might make another one here, actually. 20 seconds to go. Alonso, sixth fastest. Stowe Corner. He navigates that pretty decently. And Perez goes third. Perez third fastest. All to play for at Silverstone this afternoon. Alonso over the line. Goes fifth fastest as the Spaniard. And as the checkered flag on Q3 came out, Alonso's got another go here. Sainz only, Sainz sector 2, I thought that was Sainz crossing the line, not improving there. Verstappen, quickest in sector 1, but half a second down is Charles Leclerc. And who was that going for spin at Bow? Someone went off at Bow, and Sainz. Can Sainz self a surprise? Sainz towards the line, goes fastest, but Verstappen is actually down on his time right now. So Verstappen, is he going to stay on pole position? Is Verstappen going to take pole? Leclerc only third fastest. Verstappen, no, he's lost it. Sainz takes pole at Silverstone, or at least on provisional pole anyway. I think it is pole, and the two Mercedes are only 7 and 8. That's a poor qualifying for Mercedes. And what happened right there with the two Mercs? But Carlos Sainz is on pole position. Hamilton's gone fourth, actually. Hamilton full fastest there. Russell only 8. Norris 6. Alonso 7th. Zhou Guanyu 9th. Latifi 10th. But Carlos Sainz is on pole. Perez goes fourth, pushing Hamilton down to 5th as well. And that is a run of bad luck for Carlos Sainz coming to an end right there. And a delighted Carlos Sainz. Just listening to Carlos Sainz there. Well, a very, very decent qualifying. Vamos. Go Tiffy. I've just seen the meme. But anyway, that's it for qualifying at Silverstone. We will see you tomorrow for the British Grand Prix. That's British Grand Prix, 2:35, 3 o'clock, lights out. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow for the British Grand Prix when Formula One returns.